I can start now?
Yeah, you can start, please.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you for making it possible for us to have this one extra segment in our discussions of eclipses, their types, and in particular in connection with the eclipse for the 21st of June 2020, which is an annular solar eclipse. We had some discussions about different kinds of eclipses, the configurations which make the different aspects. There is such rich variety of the types and the kinds of phenomenon that could happen with respect to eclipses, solar eclipses, different kinds of solar eclipses, and then lunar eclipses, and so on. So we had some general discussions of all of this. In particular, I just wanted to mention whenever these events happen. So there is, of course, now this solar eclipse of the 21st of June, which is going to take place in the morning just before around 10:30 or so. All of us in India, of course, at slightly different times from each location, we are going to start seeing the partial phase of this eclipse. And many of us would continue to see the partial eclipse, and some few lucky of us would be in this belt where the eclipse is going to be that maximum, that ring of fire eclipse. Now, we all want in some way that we have a safe viewing experience of this eclipse. So we should try and see what are the possible ways that we could have a safe viewing of this. So if we have a little bit more of a sophisticated equipment for projection, etc., then well and good, we could do that. Uh, or with filters viewing and so on. If not, the two methods which I suggested, which should be accessible to everyone, at least the first one to everyone, the second one, which is to do with trees. If we are lucky, we will find trees which will do it. The first one being just a piece of cardboard or something in which we make a hole and where we are going to get a pinhole image. That should be accessible to everybody. And then, if we are lucky, under a tree, we may see something. Now, it's not just that we are going to observe the eclipse there, okay, eclipse has happened, we see what we are able to see and leave it at that. No, I want that we all should be able to do at least some kind of quantitative feel for this eclipse using whatever equipment that's possible. And then let's say we are clouded out that day or whatever, for whatever reason we cannot have direct access to a safe viewing of the eclipse, then there are of course webcasts. Many people are doing webcasts, so we should be aware, alert beforehand. We should keep list of all webcasts so that we are able to view the eclipse through these webcasts from different locations. And we anyway should do this, even if we are making our own observation, we should still take a look at these webcasts. And while the webcasts are happening, why don't you go ahead and maybe periodically save some of those images so that you can look at them later. Save and then save the location name. Under the location name, you save these images. So that is another way that we will have access to some part of this eclipse, which we want to try and take a look at quantitatively. And and then there is also this, that we could look at the simulated aspects of this eclipse, look at the data, and even from that we get a feel for what is happening in this eclipse. So, firstly, we all learned about that the map where we can go and take a look. So we go and look at the map and we try to get an idea about mm, where we are, what is going to happen, what are the timing. The first thing we have to be very well aware, of course, is the timing for the eclipse. And then, of course, these maps, etc. I hope all of you are already had some idea and had this as well. The base data for the eclipse. So that is one thing. Well, we do need this, so let me just get that out there and then I proceed with what I wanted to say. So let me just get that map out there and we'll go to that later. Then, more than the map, there is this other sky calculator which we can use to try to get a little bit idea from the simulated data for the eclipse. So this site is calsky.com. It's a sky calculator, wonderful site, and gives us a lot of help if you want to plan any astronomy club observations and so on. So let's go. This one, actually, when you go to the setup and so on, it allows you to put your latitude, longitude. That's very important. We want to take a look at for the location we are interested in, right? And then here, let's choose solar eclipses. It gives us information about eclipses which are ahead of us and so on. So this will surely give us information about this particular eclipse. So there it is. It gives us a little bit of an idea which Saro series it is, and it talks about the magnitude and obscuration. So what is this? And this is for the location of Delhi. And so what? So that's the amount of the eclipse which you're going to see, which is quite a bit. Now, what is this magnitude? Magnitude means the fractional diameter of the sun, which is going to be under eclipse by the moon coming in front. That's the magnitude. Obscuration, that is the fractional area on the surface of the sun, which is going to be under eclipse when the moon comes at the maximum of the eclipse. So this is some of the information that we'll see. We can even have a look at the kind of view that we are going to get at the beginning of the eclipse. You may even want to know whereabout is the sun going to first start. So this is the kind of view which we should be able to get from when we at the maximum when we see from Delhi. So these are some of the simulated views, and we'll take a look at some of these in a little more detail soon. But basically, what I wanted to say was, if you maybe save some of these images, which are happening at different times. So you go at different times and take a look at the sun. Probably if you just look at view, apparent view, and so on, the physical view you should be able to get of the sun at different times, what the eclipse is going to look like. Save some of these images before the eclipse. Keep it ready. A kind of a simulated view of what the eclipse is going to be like. So you save a series of images. So you already have some idea at this time this much should happen, this much should happen, and so on. Now, if you have sophisticated equipment, of course, you can do minute comparisons of this. Is this what exactly has happened? Well, always in the calculations there may be some little tweakings which may be needed in our observation. There may be some errors, some defocusing aspects, and so on. So always those comparisons will give us a good feel as to what's going on. Now, the first of the observations which we should do is just to get an idea of when the eclipse has actually started, and finally when the eclipse has ended. These are two timings which should be possible even with a simple pinhole imaging. This should still be possible. Now, when you are looking at your projected image of the sun, even if it is a simple pinhole, try and see that it's as sharply circular as possible. So if you have any, like for instance, under tree pinhole, if some pinholes overlap, you'll see that sharp circularity is gone. But sometimes nice, really sharp circular images are seen. If you're lucky enough to find near you a tree, now we have only 1 or 2 days more left for you to take a look around and try to find it. See whether you are able to find a tree which has nice, sharp circular images between 10:30 to 2, and choose that tree, and you can actually do some, at least, quantitative observation. Of course, throughout this duration, 10:30 to 2, it's not likely that any single tree is going to continue to show you pinhole images. So therefore, look around you where it is possible for you to find these pinhole images for different timings, and so on. But if you are lucky enough to find a large size, 6 to 7 at least centimeter diameter kind of sun image, so either with your own pinhole camera, wherein maybe you make a slightly larger pinhole and are able to hold it up. Perhaps you hold it up on the first floor somewhere and then look at the image down below, and so on. And then you will get a slightly larger, even with a simple mirror ball on a ball, simple plastic ball filled with sand, or so you put a piece of mirror or a simple small piece of mirror which you hold and hold somewhere a little distance, you'll get a nice round image of the sun. The only thing you have to worry about in this is that nobody comes in the way of this and looks at the mirror. So once you take care of that, so these are the simple ways in which you should be able to get a nice circular size of projected image of the sun. Now, what I suggest is, firstly, you want to find out when the eclipse is beginning, when the eclipse is ending. These are two simple possibilities. Just by looking at the projection, you may be able to do that. And then the other part is that we want to do a we want to be a little more creative. Here, for instance, is actually this slide I have created from our own actual observations, and where students had done some constructions. You can see that we had taken a projected image of the sun and printed it on a graph sheet. Here, our students have done some geometrical constructions which give an idea of the circle of the sun, circle of the moon, and so on. Now, these complex measurements I don't know how much it will become possible unless you have a nice sturdy projection. And this one, in this, we have about 11 centimeter diameter sun image we get in this. And so then it becomes possible to do a good amount of such complex measurements. We'll talk about this in a little while. And I hope for quite a number of you, these measurements become possible. Mostly what we may have access to is circular three pinhole images like this, or our own pinhole camera, which is going to do this. Now, for any of these, anywhere that we have these, you try and place uh, a graph sheet where the image comes. See that this is again, this is in fact the original slide which I had, the same one, color inverted. So you take a graph sheet and place it wherever you are finding that there are circular sun images, either from your pinhole camera or from tree pinhole images, or maybe with some telescope projection or a little more sophisticated projection that you are able to get. Place this graph sheet there and continuously try to click pictures as the eclipse is progressing. So initially there will be just be a notch on the sun, and then slowly there will be a progression of this. So on that graph sheet you go on taking photographs of that, and maybe you could print those out later, or even with the image you can do some image processing techniques. So there are a number of things that you could do. Alternately, if you want to just use simple kind of measurements, then you can always try and see how many centimeter squares, millimeter squares are there inside the circle of the sun, and inside the circle of the sun which is under eclipse or not under eclipse, and so on. And you can make some nice estimates of that magnitude and um, obscuration fraction. Here, in fact, is something which was done by some students back in 2006 when there was an eclipse, very mild. It was a very small fraction of the sun was eclipsed. So for that, students, so this yellow is the theoretical curve. So this can be obtained from something like, as I was mentioning, this I think we did get it from CalSky. Okay, so CalSky will give you all of this data, and the pink are actually observations done by students using such methods. Of course, we did have a telescope projection and so on, so it was a little better quality imaging. But even with tree pinhole images, try and see, redraw such a graph. And even if there are more errors, it doesn't matter. It will be worth doing it, because we are just trying to see what is the best possibility of accuracy that we can get from such simple. You may think that when you look at those tree pinhole images and so on, can we really do measurements with this? But keep in mind that back in history, there have been several astronomers who have done such a thing. There was Samanta Chandrasekhar of Orissa who used to make simple handmade instruments and did many celestial measurements. He did observations of eclipses, observation of transit of Venus, and so on. And he did use three pinhole images to not just make a measurement of the angular size of the sun. He made a measurement of angular size of Venus sitting on top of the sun, visible that way. So, and back in 17th century, Jahangir made such measurements. We don't know how he did it, but there was an annular solar eclipse which was seen partially in Delhi, and he made a measurement of the obscuration fraction. And well, perhaps he made a measurement of magnitude. The wording is not very clear. He said that about 4/5 of the sun is eclipsed. And if we actually look at the data for that, it looks like maybe he meant magnitude. And so whatever, maybe there are errors if we try to match it exactly, but it's also not so outlandish what he said. So he gave a timing also about 3 hours for the duration of the eclipse and so on. So back at that time, if he could do it, this was before even telescopes came into India. Why can't we do it? We don't also need a telescope. Let's try and use simple kind of measurements with which we can make such observations. So this is one of the things I wanted to mention. In fact, even if you have any such using tree pinhole, maybe whatever, here is actually the angular diameter of the sun, which was measured by a student for a whole year, something like that. We can even look at sunspots if you have such under tree pinhole. Sometimes huge sunspots come. So print this again on a graph sheet and try to see what are the sizes, angular size, relative angular size of sunspot with respect to the whole sun, and so on. So there are several such measurements which are possible to do. Let me again come back to this one basic measurement, which I think we did discuss a little bit, but once again, I would like to discuss it a little more in detail. So when we have sun inside an equipment like this, sun inside a box, then of course it's very nice. We get the sun there and we mark 3 points on the surface of it. It should be exactly on the circumference of the sun, not outside, not inside. And we bring that paper out, but please try and repeat this with trip pinhole images. And there were some students who did this is doable. It's challenging, it is doable. And even if we get a little more errors, we still, I mean, can try and see what is the best that is possible to do with this. So put that paper in, mark 3 points ABC, bring the paper out, and draw the triangle ABC. Draw the triangle ABC, draw the perpendicular bisectors of AB, BC, AC. They should meet at a point. From this point, measure, if this is O, measure OA, OB, OC. It should be equal. OC, average it out, OA plus OB divided by 3. Take that as radius, take O as center, and then draw this circle. See, this circle was not drawn earlier. Earlier, we just had the sun sitting there. And when we remove the paper, the sun is gone. Only those 3 points we marked are there. So now we have this circle drawn. Once the circle is drawn, take this paper and put it back into the box or under the tree. But as I was mentioning that when you're working with the tree pinhole images, you have to be sure that you figure out which tree pinhole image you had. Oh, I have to go. Yeah, there it is. Suppose you are working with these and you make a measurement with one and then you move away, come back and do the second step with another. Maybe the height of this leaf and this leaf is different. So your whole thing will go. So try to keep to one particular tree pinhole image, mark it with a chalk or something. Even if it moves slightly, it should still be the same one that you are using. Okay. And so then bring that paper back and put it there. And then you try to measure the amount of time sun takes to, let's say that's the circle that you have drawn, and you try to fit that circle so that sun sits inside it. So exactly when that happens, then you start a clock and don't disturb anything and wait for the sun to drift out. It will, because of the diurnal motion, drift out, drift out. When the sun is exactly here, stop the clock. So measure this time. So this time, it will be some minutes, some seconds, convert it to seconds. And given that in 24 hours, sun makes an angle of 360 degree, approximate, but will do. So given that sun makes an angle of 360 degree in 24 hours, which is 24 into 60 into 60 seconds. So then the angular diameter, the angle that the sun is making in your eye, this diameter can be measured using this kind of a formula, 360 into the time t in seconds divided by this, and so on. And then all of this you can do today, tomorrow, day after, or something before the eclipse. You'll get an idea of the angular diameter of the sun. On the day of the eclipse, repeat this experiment, except that instead of marking 3 points on the circle of the sun, mark 3 points on the moon cut, the cut where the moon has come. Mark 3 points here and draw the perpendicular bisectors of the chords. And the same thing, O, OA, OB, OC, these points, and using these, you can actually draw the circle of the moon. Compare the circle of the moon and the sun. Suppose you are sitting in a place where you are not able to see the full maximum of the eclipse. You can't see that it is an annular solar eclipse. You are only seeing at maximum, you are seeing a partial solar eclipse. But imagine with your measurements, you can show that they should be annular, because you see the when you draw the circle of the sun, you find that it's a little smaller than the circle of the sun. So that is going to tell you that it is going to be an annular solar eclipse. So that's good. So if we can do something like that, a measurement like that, that would be really worthwhile. Then I was also talking about data that you can use, and with that get some feel for what's going on with the eclipse and so on. So here I'll show you some data which I pulled out. The site is actually called, this is NASA Solar System Dynamics. If you just, I think, hunt for NASA Horizons or something, you should reach this place, Solar System Dynamics. You have to learn your way around it a little bit. And once again, maybe in the WhatsApp group, we can have some discussions how this is to be used. But then from this, for instance, what I got was for the 21st of June, some data to with the sun and the moon. And here this is showing the one-way light. So you can have an idea which is sun travel time. And then it is the angular diameter. Angular diameter is what I was talking about. The angle that this circle is making in your eye. Okay. So that can be. You can compare that. Given I think in what is called arc seconds. A degree divided by 60 is arc minutes, divided by 60 is arc seconds. So this is the angular diameter of the sun. This is the angular diameter of the moon. You can see that it is smaller. This is for 21st of June. This is smaller than the sun, and that is the thing. We have the annular solar eclipse. This is the data for December 2019, when again it was an annular solar eclipse. Look at the angular diameter of the sun here in arc seconds, so much larger than this, because in December actually sun is closer to the Earth, all in Earth's orbit around the sun. So you have larger, so you have lesser light travel time here, and then you can see you compare the angular diameter of the moon with the sun. The difference is not as much as well here. The difference is much more. The comparison that we can see, and so by looking at different data like this, and we also remember I talked about the map that we were going to use. So in the map you can get hold of data which is going to tell you what the eclipse the distance on the surface of the earth between these different locations and the time lag that is happened. That will give you some idea of the so just by looking at data which you can look we can get through this kind of simulated virtual data or data which you can get from webcast or from your own measurements using projection and under the tree and so on. So these are the things that you can measure and make a comparison. And then there is also one other thing. There have been so many eclipses which have happened. If you look up records in Indian records, there are many. There are also from various civilizations. Go back, way back in history. You can get records of eclipses which have taken place. And you can again try and compare with the data that you can get. NASA eclipse site has in fact this canon of solar eclipses, entire tables and so on. It gives you some information about when all eclipses have taken place and what are the center line. There is a software called EMAP-WIN. You can download this and easily look at this. See, this is the map that you have for this eclipse, the June solar eclipse. Okay, and so you can take a look at such. I'm sorry about this. नरेश मैं अभी मीटिंग में हूँ थोड़ी देर में अभी मैं देखती हूँ. All right. So we have this eclipse deadline is where the maximum of the eclipses, and you have the partial eclipse all over here. You go back and look at this. This is the eclipse in December. Look at this. This is the maximum path. But you can see that this path is much wider than the path which is there for now. For this, you can look at this. This one is a very thin path. Why is this? Remember the data that we had a look at and try to get a feel from this data as to what is going on here. The difference in the distance. The sun is at a much larger distance now, much less angular diameter, much smaller distance that time. And basically it is these differences which are giving rise to the kind of differences that we see in these eclipses. And then you can go back to some past date. I'd like to go to the year 1615. All right, the year 1615. Here is an eclipse, and it says it's an annular solar eclipse. So lovely. It went through again all of India. The maximum belt was here, and the rest of India saw partial. The reason I picked up this year is that this is the eclipse which Jahangir saw. Jahangir has mentioned that, and Professor Razaullah Ansari actually has discussed this Practical Astronomy Indo-Persian Sources is the paper by Professor Razaullah Ansari. And here he talks of two solar eclipses which Jahangir saw. There is this one, and where he talks of the time when the eclipse has started, where the eclipse has started, I mean, what is the region from where the eclipse has started on the disk of the sun, what is the duration that it has lasted, and uh, how much of the sun was eclipsed, and so on. So such data has been there. Not just here. You go back further in history. There was an astronomer Parameshwara, and he talked of eclipses from something like maybe around 1390 or so, perhaps 1390 onwards up to 1420 AD. He talked of eclipses which he has observed. Now, if you look at all the eclipses, not all of them have actually crossed India, but there will be some. Here, look at this one eclipse. This all of India saw it as partial. So maybe he did observe this, and so on. You go and look at historical eclipses and try to match it with what he has said. So this is the kind of work which can be done in connection with eclipses, which is very exciting. So if there are some students who are interested in doing this kind of work, maybe get in touch with me and we'll try and explore what are the possibilities of trying to look up back in history how people have observed eclipses and how we can use our current knowledge of how to back calculate eclipses and try to see what they have said, how accurately have they observed it, how accurately were eclipses predicted back then, and so on. So there is a lot of uh, interesting work which can be done of that kind. Now, there's one more aspect which I wanted to talk about, and that is let's go back to the eclipse map here. And okay, so this is the region where eclipse is going to be observed, right? Now, let's go to the region where actually the eclipse is going to be seen the maximum, the annularity belt. So, in this annularity belt, if we go here, the central blue line, if we go to the central blue line, we are going to see that annular part of the eclipse for the longest duration. Moon is going to slip inside the disk of the sun, and then slowly it's going to travel to the other side. So we are going to see maybe some, let's see, let's just go click here, and this somewhere near Sirsa. It says that for about 39.3 seconds, we could have had seen the moon to be inside this. But then they do a correction. They say, no, it's 22.4 seconds after correction that we are going to see the moon to be inside the sun. Now, what is this correction? It has taken away some number of seconds from, more than 10 seconds, from what could have been observed from Sirsa. What is this lunar limb corrected? So basically what happens is that moon, cross section of the moon that we see, it's not a nice circular cross section. There is a contour of valleys and mountains in this. This is called lunar limb profile. And because it's not that we see always the same face, we learn that we always see the same face of the moon. But we actually peep over it a little bit here and there, so that instead of seeing 50% of the moon, we see 59% of the moon due to a phenomenon called libration. So because of this, the lunar limb profile is not going to be the same always. It's going to change from eclipse to eclipse. And the fascinating aspect is that the information about the topography of the moon, we have had several space missions to measure it, and we have had decades of these measurements, but there is still scope to provide maybe one extra new data on this about the lunar limb profile by making such observations of solar eclipses and some other kinds of observations which I'll talk about. But in particular, if you actually happen to go to these red lines here, the edge of the eclipse, the red lines, there if you will see what is going to the eclipse duration. So it says penumbral, okay, it's giving you penumbral duration. So we are maybe not quite inside, just inside if you see. Yeah. So here it's showing 16 seconds, and after limb correction, 0 seconds of annularity. So what's going to happen is that if the moon, see the first calculation is if the moon was a nice circle. But after you apply that contour of valleys and so on, so it happens that although maybe it was to have been almost like just annular 16 seconds and go, but in those 16 seconds in this annular there is maybe a mountain on this edge of the moon or so that you don't actually get that ring, that visibility of the ring of the sun. So So for 0 seconds, you will get the visibility of that ring of the sun. So if you make observations from these edges, and in fact, large number of observers have to be there, station themselves across this belt and make observations and see where it is being seen as a ring and where it is being seen as a partial and so on. So with this huge effort, we'll get a little bit of data for this lunar limb profile. So by making these edge observations, you can contribute. You can go there in the edge and try to see, are you able to see Bailey's beads? So even that will give you some idea of the contour of valleys and mountains on the edge of the disk of the moon. So these are some of the observations which would be useful to do. You could even do some other related observations, not to do with the sun, but directly to do with the moon itself. After all, in these observations, it's the moon that we are trying to take a look at. Go to the moon. I mean, here in this sky calculator, calsky.com, go to the moon, and then there is an option there for occultations. There is a phenomenon called occultation, lunar occultation. Moon is our nearest neighbor in space. So, as it is going around the Earth, since it is the nearest neighbor, back in the background, it will always keep coming in front of the background stars and so on. Every day, in fact, it will keep coming in front of background stars. But many of them may be very faint stars. Sometimes it will come in front of some bright stars. So then, if that happens, let's see whether there is something ahead of us somewhere. For 1 month, let's say if we try and we do occultation only, and then we go. You try and use this calsky.com